Hello friends, it's Carla back today with a video that I shot live on the Scrap Shots Facebook page, and we wanted to bring you some fun live videos. So this was our first one, and I thought I would edit it to share on YouTube and Instagram. And we're using the Tim Holtz Distress Embossing Glazes. These are new from Tim Holtz. They're a beautiful embossing powder that's nice and fine, and they are translucent. There's 12 different colors, and I went ahead and made this tag before I shot the video, and I used a Christmas stamp set, and I stamped with Distress oxides, and then I did some stenciling, and that pink on the right with some circles I added, and you can see the script stamp underneath that shows through the circles because again it is translucent. And I'm just going to show you in this video how you can even add to your paper embellishments in your ephemera using the Distress embossing pen and the fun powders. I even embossed the brad, so you can see the original brad was gold there, and we added some of that beautiful green cracked pistachio powder. Because it was shiny underneath, you see that shine coming through. So this is the package that the embossing pens come in. There are two that you get in the pack, and you get a brush tip on one that you could have for a wider tip, and you could do some brush lettering. And then you get a bullet nib on the second one. And these pens are really nice and juicy. They work well. It's just embossing ink in them, and they're a really neat way to use your powders. And here I'm showing a few different ways that I added these. These are the milk caps from Tim Holtz. These are just some things that I grabbed from my stash to add some of the powders to. This is one of the Pink Fresh, my favorite story floral ephemera pieces that came in one of the add-ons to the March 2020 Scrap Shots kit. Then we've got some Tim Holtz paper dolls, and I've used those pens to emboss different areas and add some color to the black and white and sepia toned photos. So these are just a really great way to add color and texture to pieces that you already have in your stash. The witch is really cute with that cracked pistachio added to her skin, and then we've colored up those guys' clothes and the bathing suits there. So we are going to go ahead and make a tag just to show you how easy it is to layer these and what a neat look you get. I'm taking a script stamp that I had from my stash, and I'm just stamping with weathered wood in the background. This is Distress Oxide ink, and it stamps really nicely. And so I'm just layering that and stamping it on. Now it does stay wet a little longer, so I'm drying it with a heat gun because I don't want the powder to stick to the whole background. I'm taking a powder bag and just going over the top just to again ensure that no extra embossing powder sticks. And then I'm going to take the bird stamp, and this is from that Christmas stamp set as well, and I'm going to stamp right over the text stamp. So we've got some Versamark ink here. This is an embossing ink that's sticky and it holds embossing powder. And I'm going to add this to my stamp and then just close the cover to this stamp press. This is a Tim Holtz stamp press. And close the cover there and stamp it down. Now I want a little bit more of an opaque background, so I'm going to take broken china that's going to coordinate with the powder I'm going to use. And I'm stamping again right over that sticky ink. So it's just like a double inked surface so that I'm sure the embossing powder is going to stick. There's a look at the beautiful color in that broken china embossing glaze, and I've layered that on, and then I'm just going to go ahead and heat it. It heats really quickly just because it is so nice and fine. and I'm just pouring the powder back into the container. So it heats here. I'm just melting it really quick, and I'm going to show you in a minute how it looks without the blue broken china stamped behind, and it is quite similar. This is a look at, you've got the stamped image and embossed, and you can still see through to that text stamp. So you've got two different layers of stamping, and you've got your embossing, and it just has a really nice mixed media look. So I'm just going to, for information purposes, show you how it looks without stamping with the broken china behind and only with the Versamark. And the powder did stick on to my background because I forgot to dry it, but that's okay as well. And it's not, I mean, it's a great look and it's a different technique. Just that first tag I wasn't going for. So you can see it's a little bit darker in the tag on the right, but they're both very nice and vibrant. So I think whatever you prefer, if you want it to be a little more solid or not. And then we're just taking the embossing pen and we're going over different areas and adding a little bit of embossing ink to the flowers. This is from the Botanicals set from Tim Holtz. He has lots of different ephemera sets out, and just dig through your stash and find something that's fun to work with, and that's how quick you can emboss some details onto your ephemera there. And then I'm adding a little bit to the bird, and because this is weathered wood and it's a bit of a blue gray, and it's going to be very subtle. So we could have added a red and it would have given it a more red tinge, but I just wanted a very subtle accent for this guy. So those are both embossed, and then I'm going ahead and using the Ranger embossing dabber, and I'm going to emboss through the stencil, or add the embossing ink through the stencil. This is a Vicki Boutin stencil, and I believe it's from her Wildflowers and Honey line. And I'm simply going over the flowers that I want to have in the background, and you could mask those off if you didn't want to get any extra areas. Then we're going to use the weathered wood embossing glaze, and I'm just brushing off the little bits of powder that got in places that I didn't want it to get. And I'm not being too particular. So you can see there's a couple areas where it overlaps the bird, and the powders do melt into each other and create a really neat effect. And you can still see that text behind because of the translucent quality of the powders. And I'm taking another one of Vicki Boutin stencils and just using that embossing dabber, and that's just a dabber that's filled with embossing ink. These are great for using with stencils. And then I'm going to use the fossilized amber embossing glaze, and this is a really nice bright yellow, and then we're just going to heat that again. So again, you're going to see that script behind. It's going to melt in with the powders that are already there, and it really looks beautiful. You can see how it almost turned a green tinge on the blue layer. And you can also stamp with different colors of ink when you're using your stamps, and then go over it with different colors of powders. So if you stamped with a blue and went over with a yellow, you're going to get a green. So they're definitely worth playing with. Now I'm taking the brad, I added some of that embossing dabber ink, dipped it into the powder, heated it and dipped it back in, and this is 2 layers. It's so beautiful and shiny. So broken china's on the right, and then the previously done tag I had done the cracked pistachio. And you have just a really nice gold shine because that brad was gold to start with. So I really like that effect, and I think I'm going to play more with those embossing glazes on metal. There's a look at that botanical set that I got the flowers and the images out of. So I'm just grabbed some ribbon out of my stash, and I'm putting that through, and adding the brad onto there. And we have a tag that's very beautiful. This you could even pop in the mail and send it to someone with a little note on the back. You're not making a whole card, or you can attach it to a gift. So I hope you enjoyed having a look at how easy it is to work with these glazes. Please join us at the Scrap Shots Facebook page. On Thursday we'll be back, so we're going to see about a schedule, maybe Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we are going to have fun just having a crafty chat and playing with some product. Thanks so much for stopping by.